Hello everyone, Ensouling. Today I want to talk about the books that I'll be reading for the duration of autumn. Because I'm calling this season Mad Girl Autumn. There's been a theme happening. My word of the year was surreal, so like surrealism, and that'll end in December, of course. So these last couple of months of the year, I really want to hunker down into this kind of like, weird, surrealist, almost, fantasy-esque dreamscapes, memoryscapes, things like that. So I thought what I would do is share some books that I want to get into to really expand the imagination these last couple of months of the year. And some of them, I think I have two witchy nonfiction books, and the rest are like novels. So, and some of them I've already read because it kind of started in September for me, like at the start of autumn. So I started some of these and I've already finished them. So I want to go over, I'll do those first and then talk about the ones that I haven't read that I'm excited to get into. So let's get started. Okay. Now I started this in September because I was doing some work with the other world. I was traveling, made a video about that. I'll leave below like some common things that I've noticed about hedge riding, path walking, astral travel, yada yada yada. So like I said, I'll leave that video below. But in the throes of that, I was kind of researching shamanic witchcraft, and I pulled this book off the shelf, In the Shadow of the Shaman by Wolfe. Now I had read really good reviews of this book, and I kind of had, some medium expectations going into it, but I liked the content, okay? Because it came out in 1988, so you know that some of it was a little outdated. Some of it was gonna be going in. Like that was like why I had medium expectations. But it was laid out like a medicine wheel, like a Native American medicine wheel. She went into this, a lot of it was rooted in Native American, like a Native American, so indigenous American folklore and traditions and things like that. Now the shamanism that I typically want to go to when I explore various shamanic practices in my witchcraft, I don't go American indigenous. I go like Celtic, Scottish, even Germanic shamanic practices. So I'm not, a lot of my shamanic practices, if I can even call it that, aren't rooted in America. They're rooted from somewhere else. So this book, while the content was okay, the setup left much to be desired for me. So, but like I said, the way that she maps things out, basically what she did, okay, and she mapped it out kind of like what we do with the 4 elements and the suits of the tarot and things like that. Okay, so north, south, east, west, and how they each have a function. And that's very much how the book's laid out. But the interesting thing I did find with this book is that, yes, while using Native American indigenous shamanic practices as your base point for like every shaman, which I found, but throughout, like the attributes of each of the elements that she used, like for instance, the attributes of the south. Now, if we look back at this chart, south for her means fire, faith, and protecting. So relationships, trust, innocence, vulnerability, courage, purification, willpower, drive, self-determination. So it really is about like the fire element and what we would associate with that element anyway. So she breaks each of the elements down even further. And so her south, or fire, or willpower, is sacred objects, sacred messages, sacred care, and shamanic medicines. So I like that. And so she's got a lot of these like subcategories within subcategories. And so I did kind of appreciate that, because what I had to do was kind of peel to get to the good stuff. So there was actually some good, I would call it shamanism or shamanistic ideas in this book that were presented to us. But when I had to peel back some of the Native American, indigenous, shamanic cultures that aren't open to me, okay? And again, I don't know her genealogy, so I don't know how much of it would have been open to her, but I digress. So yeah, once I peeled it like an onion, I got some things out of it. But now the next ones that I've already read are novels. Okay, first one, Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Okay, I love this man. Oh, I love this man. I love the way James Baldwin talks. So sometimes, kind of like I do Alan Watts or some of those philosophers that you like to hear the sound of their voice. Maybe possibly they like the sound of their own voice too. But Alan Watts and James Baldwin are one of the ones that are two of the ones that I really kind of like to just listen to, like in my ear. And James Baldwin has several interviews out on YouTube that you can just go watch. So I like listening to the way he talks about life and love in his books. But anyway, but Giovanni's Room is a book that has been on the shelf that I've been wanting to read for a while. And I felt called to it, this mad girl autumn that I'm having right now. And it very much did feel like that. Oh my God. The main character, David, is living in Paris, and he's got this kind of, I'd call her a beau, not really a girlfriend, but like a beau, someone you like, but the attachment's not real severe. So he has a beau, and she is living in Spain. So he's just kind of, settling in with acquaintances and friends in Paris and things like that, and ends up falling in love with Giovanni. Okay. Now at this time, there's a lot of talking here about the tabooness of being gay and gayness itself and love itself and all that, and how we really get this kind of internal violence with David, the main character. But the violence, the emotional violence, the emotional turmoil that we see from the outside, because we're only getting this one guy's perspective, is David. We're really seeing this kind of outward, like this outside perspective of turmoil from Giovanni, who is in turn falling in love with David. So it's really their love story, and it's kind of imploding and, like I said, emotionally violent. And the fact that it's called Giovanni's Room really just made so much sense. If we look at all kinds of metaphors for life and love and the pursuit of having a life and having a love, really captivated me. It really did. And I found myself finishing this in a day. So, I mean, it's not that long actually, but it was good in a way that I could hear David think and hear him talk to himself, and the way he talked to himself and the way he analyzed love and the way he analyzed certain life pursuits. But then we're hearing Giovanni's words and we're seeing his tears and all that, because we don't get inside of his head. So there was this like weird cognitive dissonance between all the characters. So anyway, loved it. It was really good, and it really got me into the mad girl vibes. So, all right, and then the second one, put all the finished ones over here. Then the second one I read was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, I think. He is born in Cyprus. So Michaelides maybe. I picked this up because the main character was an artist and in a mental institution, whatever. And so I thought, oh yeah, art, mental institution, madness, yes. Okay, all those tropes I love in books. I don't know what it is, I just love it. Love reading about it. It's not necessarily entertainment, but I just love the way things are written about certain things. Like, basically, she kills her husband, the main character, in the beginning, and stops talking after that. Goes mute, right? In a kind of mutism that could be construed as mental illness. And so they put her in the mental institution. Well, there's this guy that, has been reading about her story, and he's kind of become obsessed with her story about her mutism. And he's a psychotherapist, and he becomes obsessed with her story and wanting to become her psychotherapist to get her to talk again, to get her to snap out of certain things that, you know, like the trauma response of mutism. And so you get this kind of cool play between psychotherapy, which I felt was really intelligently written, okay? At least someone that's like an amateurist couldn't tell, okay, that Alex didn't know what he was talking about. So it felt very intelligent, which I appreciated. And then the story moved at such a pace that it moved kind of like a detective story, because, like I said, the main guy, Theo, the psychotherapist, is moving along with her through her story, trying to manipulate the story to become her therapist and be at this institution with her. And the whole thing kind of unfolds like a detective story, because he's trying to map out what exactly happened to her, you know. The ending was a bit of a twist, but I will say, without spoiling too much, I will say that it becomes, the ending is a again, medium twist. Okay, you can kind of see it coming, but then when it hits, it kind of hits. So I think that this author did a very good job. And art was a very, very underlying, so there wasn't a lot of art in this book. I probably would have appreciated more, only because they went to such lengths to tell you that she was an artist in all the synopsis that you read. So it's like, I would have appreciated more art, but whatever. So I really did like this, and I finished this in a day too. I just couldn't put it down. Like, I was sitting here on the couch, and I was like, I like had it over there cooking dinner. I was like, so anyway, it was captivating. I enjoyed myself. Okay, and then the next one, I finished this beginning right at the beginning of October, I think. But anyways, this one's called A Harvest of Hearts by Andrea Eames. This was really interesting. Okay, look at this side of it. So cool, right? This was interesting, okay, to say the least. The story read like a fairy tale, but more like a fairy tale with a moral, okay? It was pretty long, okay? It was in depth. There was a lot of things that I probably would have cut out, but that doesn't mean that I was skimming. So let me just read a little bit of the back to you, so you'll get kind of how, obviously they know how to explain it better than I do. Everyone in Foss Butcher's village knows what happens when the magic workers come. They harvest human hearts to use in their spells. That's just how life in their kingdom works. But Foss, plain, clumsy, and practical as a boot, never expected anyone would want hers. When a sorcerer snags a piece of Foss's heart without meaning to, she is furious. For once a heart is snagged, the experience was unpleasant. So Foss finds herself stomping towards the grand city to keep his enchanted house, and demands that he fixes her before she keels over and dies, or whatever happens when hearts are snagged. But the sorcerer is not what she expected. Petulant, idle, and new to his powers, Sylvester has no clue how to undo the heart-taking, or how to do much of anything apart from sulk. Foss's only friend is a talking cat, and even the house's walls themselves have moods. As Foss searches for a cure, she accidentally uncovers that there is much more to the heart-taking, and to the magic workers themselves, than she could ever have imagined. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. So, the magic workers, there's only a few of them, have to use human hearts to enact magic. Now, the premise of this is the king has enacted that hearts get harvested for protecting the village, okay? And anyway, so it really read like this kind of fever dream, but a plain fever dream. One of those that you can kind of remember, like on the tip of your tongue, but you have to kind of catch. You want to catch the tendrils of smoke as they go by. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And I really felt the world was fleshed out. I really felt that Foss's character was exactly what it says, plain and practical. But she makes that known to us way too often for my taste. That she's ugly and plain and not pretty and right? She just says that all the time to us, you know, and it just doesn't, I didn't like that. But anyway, other than that, like the house, the magic house, the talking cat, the way she's like become the housekeeper for this magic worker, this plain clumsy girl becomes the housekeeper, and she's very ornery. She's very confident. She's very wordy. Okay. And I really liked that about her, where she just took no shit. So, I appreciated the characters in this book, and the ending wrapped up like a fairy tale would, like just kind of wrapped up real quick, like a snap of a finger, right? Snap of magic. And so anyway, I enjoyed myself. I did. I liked it. I think I did. I enjoyed myself. The whole concept of magic having to be done by having, you know, snagging a human heart, that's virtually a painless experience for the snagged, but that concept really got my imagination going. And, you know, this juxtaposition between the magic workers and just the practical village people, like again, this kind of world building technique that they used really felt like I was inside of a fairy tale, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. Okay, those are all the books that I've already read. Here's the books that I want to get to. Okay. Now this next one has, I think this is a show on Amazon, a movie on Amazon Prime or something. It's called The Mad Woman's Ball. This was adapted into a motion picture. But before I watched the movie, I wanted to read the book. So I picked it up. Mad Woman's Ball by Victoria Moss, I think. Mass? It shouldn't be Mass, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So, I'm really interested in this. It's set in kind of the 1800s. Yeah, 1885. Where it's the historical context will be relevant because there were institutions that were for society women that, you know, that they were against societal norms, okay? That were doing things outside of the society norms. They were sent to these institutions. So it's very much one of those type of things. But the fact that this is called the Mad Woman's Ball, yes, I want one of them. I want to have one of them, okay? Who wants to go? I'll send you an invite. Who wants to go to my Mad Women's Ball? Okay. I'll send you one of those, like a really cool, wouldn't it be cool to like have like black invitations and black envelopes with wax seals, and then you open it up and a puff of purple magic comes out inviting you to the ball? Maybe that's this like weird Disney fucking princess that lives inside of me that wants that. This gothic Disney princess. But anyway, so the premise of this is intriguing, but if you don't want to read the book, there is a movie about it. So basically, there's an asylum. All of Paris is enthralled by this certain doctor and his displays of hypnotism on women who have been deemed mad or hysterical, outcasts from society. But the truth is much more complicated, for these women are often simply inconvenient, unwanted wives or strong-willed daughters. Once a year, a grand ball is held. For the Parisian elite, the Mad Women's Ball is the highlight of the social season. For the women themselves, it is a rare moment of hope. So I can't wait to sink my teeth into that. I really want to round the year out with this like surrealism and this imagination squeezing. And that is Charles de Lint's Memory and Dream. Another one about an artist, I think. What is this one about? I thought this was about art and magic, of course, because it's Charles de Lint. As the young student of the brilliant Vincent Rushkin, Isabel Copley discovered she could paint images so real they brought her dreams to life. Oh. But when the forces she unleashed brought tragedy to those she loved, she turned her back on her talent and on those dreams. Now, 20 years later, she must come to terms with the memories she has long denied and unlock the power of her brush. And in a dark reckoning with her old master, she must find the courage to live out her dreams and bring the magic back to life. The cover leaves much to be desired, but I mean in general, but look at the mad women on this cover. Those witches in the woods while Spur goes night. Yes. So I'm really excited. I think I was inspired by Owlvine actually years ago. I picked this up because this was in one of her recommended reading lists. And, you know, for like magic books to read and get your magical inspiration juices flowing. So I picked this up years ago, and it's just never been its destiny, to read it. So I want to read that. I'll probably read this sometime in November. And, oh! Now, there are some books that I'm going to have to order a physical copy of, and I can't find the certain editions that I want, okay? And I'm a bit of a book detective when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, I can scope out certain, you know, the covers and the editions that I want through, like, thrift books, eBay, things like that, Aid books. And I haven't been able to find the exact edition that I want yet. But I read the first couple of chapters of it, like, through a sample on Kindle. Ugh! This kind of retro fantasy has been in my brain lately, and I think that Tanith Lee will be a winner for me, okay? There's this book called Birthgrave. I'll leave a picture here. And basically it's, like I said, the first 3 chapters really sum up the synopsis that they give you, but it's basically like this woman wakes up inside of a volcano, okay? She doesn't know who she is, right? And she wants to leave and go out in the world, right? And something inside the volcano, some kind of spirit, tells her, like, if you leave, you're cursed and you're going to bring destruction onto people. So beware, you know? You could just stay here and go back to sleep, right? And you're thinking, okay, why are they wanting to keep her there? Okay, who the hell is she? Because we don't know. So you're shoved out into the world with her having this curse on her and having some kind of volcanic spirit that wants to keep her there. Is she woman? Is she goddess? This whole kind of, I don't know who I am, so I must go find out. Ooh, that's Mad Girl Autumn to a T. Oh. So I'm excited about that. And then I thought I wanted to read some Anne McCarthy. Anne McCarthy has a very popular series out about the Dragonriders of Pern. And so I might pick one of those books up. I might download a sample of it to see how I like it. But these kinds of retro fantasies, these like cliche fantasy stories, I think I'm going to be really interested in them. For the technicolor, for the way that these older writers used to describe their fantasy worlds, I really like. Even though a lot of the tropes now are considered cliche, considered classic tropes that you would see in all fantasy novels now. But I like those. I like the older authors when it comes to fantasy. And I like, you know, when the genre was just kind of beginning, right? At the threshold of the genre, I really like those authors. Even though sometimes they feel kind of like you want to roll your eyes, you're like, okay. Like I saw where that was coming from, or I see where that's going. But I'm really interested in those 2 authors specifically. So if I have time, I'll pick one of those up. And if I can find the editions that I want, I'll buy them. But for now, I got a lot of good stuff happening in terms of books. And then one that I'll be using as like a witchcraft book over the course of the whole autumn is Celtic Hedge Witchery by our very own Joey Morris, right? Look at this beautiful cover. God, I know she's excited about this cover. As someone whose witchcraft is rooted mostly in pre-1700s Celtic, shamanic spirituality. Did I say all that right? So that's mostly Ireland and Scotland in terms of folklore. I am really gonna like this, okay? I know I am. She even put some of her poetry in here, which I love because I love Joey's poetry. Some spells, some things to do in the cauldron. Oh, God. Shape-shifting. Oh, shape-shifting. You know me so well, girl. Spiritual ecosystem. Yes. Redefining the hedge. That's going to be a really, really good chapter. So I'm sure a lot of people are currently picking this up right now, but I really want to give it my all and really, work through the book. And I'll probably be doing that over the course of the next 3 months, like October, November, December. So I'll round out the year with Joey's wisdom. So I'm excited, you guys. I'm excited to dive into some of these books. Let me know what y'all are reading. Are y'all reading any cool fiction? Do you have any Mad Girl recommendations? Mad Girl Autumn recommendations? Leave them below. All right. Have you read any of these? Let me know your thoughts, okay? Let me know all your thoughts. Hope everyone's having a magical day. Much love.